Hello, everyone. If you stay, you're not going to regret. So just like give us 10 minutes. That is all we need, right? To convince you how cool public service is in Madrid.
Yeah, it's literally 10, 15 minutes. And it's a very interesting topic, as the presenter was mentioning. How we put blockchain on public services is quite of a challenge. But luckily enough, the community of Madrid has Ignacio Azorín as a general manager for digitalization, and the community of Madrid and well, in general Spain has been investing in blockchain, our favorite technology, for public services. And actually, we're amidst the implementation of ISBE, which is the Infraestructura de Servicios Blockchain de España, the blockchain services for Spain. That is one of the perfect example of public and private collaboration. So, Ignacio, sell us Madrid a little bit.
Okay, so my aim here for this 10 minutes is just like to catch your interest and for you to say like, okay, public services can be actually cool. So what we have done for the past couple of years is invest on our, let's say, blockchain infrastructure for deploying both private services, but also admin services, public services, right? Why are we doing this? So this year we have invested over 2 million euros on this infrastructure together with let's put it like this, the association that encompasses all blockchain companies in Madrid, in Spain actually, that is called ALASTRIA. And this is our kind of business counterpart. And what we're doing here is just like building the infrastructure for every one of you to deploy on like a public-private permissioned infrastructure, right? It's, of course, coordinated with the European one. And what we want basically is just like streamline public services by bringing them into Web3. That's kind of the thing. And it makes sense because what we're doing in the region of Madrid is just like we're being the tech leaders of Europe. And if you want to be, I mean, if you're in technology, you should be in Madrid, actually. But that's long story short. That's what you need to do. We are betting big time on, of course, what you've heard before, AI, cyber, quantum, and now we have our own infrastructure for blockchain. And I think that we're just going to be simply overly efficient. We were saying this before, that if we actually manage to deploy public services on the chain, I think that it will be a miracle. So just stay tuned because that's going to be so cool, actually.
He's saying this one in Barcelona, so he's a brave guy, that's for sure. Is more an efficiency play, is more like a sovereignty play, or is just for innovation leadership?
I think the three of them, right? On the one hand, we went into the project thinking the innovation angle, because honestly, like Web3 is cool, let's put it like this. So we came in like from the innovation standpoint, but then we thought like, hey, we suffered on our own the public services and the administration because we're freakingly slow. So that's just like a fact. So we started to play the efficiency game, right? So here we are seeing how deploying over blockchain and this infrastructure that we're building is going to help us cut all the fat and all the slack that is embedded by design on the system, right? So we came in because of innovation. We are on it because of efficiency, and actually the overall push of Europe for sovereignty, right? So I think that we need our own infrastructure in Europe, of course. So I think we touched the 3 points, but in that order, kind of.
Tell us a real use case, the one that really moved the needle.
Well, you know this one, right? So it's just like
somehow, yeah, but you know, you're the one that have to.
Okay, so here's a bit the conversation that we're currently having. What we did from the public standpoint is we invested on infrastructure. So now we have the rails. Then we put on parallel a financing line for companies to develop their own use cases to be deployed over the infrastructure. So because building infrastructure is cool and the rails is cool if people use it. Otherwise, it makes no sense. It just gets rusty and it's just like lost money, right? So now we have been deploying services. What's the thing? Like the services that have been deployed are the classic use cases that we always hear of, university degrees, credentials, and this kind of thing, right? Which is cool, don't take me wrong, and it's going to be amazing. But what we really need is bringing money into the chain, right? So while the play that we're currently doing is just like, hey, how can we be that support network for whenever the Spanish central bank or whomever wants to deploy money, can bring in those cases, right? So we're looking after tokenization, we're looking after stable coins, and we're looking after the money, because once it's inside the network, it's inside the infrastructure, I think that will be self-sustained. Otherwise, it will be cool and nice, but there will be not actual real business, right?
That's very good to hear. And the aim here is building something that is financially sustainable. Not only the ESG, the environmental sustainability, also the financial sustainability, not to ask for public money again and again.
I mean, you're the guy from Santander, right?
Absolutely,
So tell us about it.
No? In this one, I'm acting on a ALASTRIA capacity. But anyways, so it's a private-public collaboration. This is a good one, and this is a very big one. But how can we work more with Europe, with all the things that are happening in the EBSI project, the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure, that is more kind of a public play, but how can we deal more, interact more, and don't build digital islands anymore?
Actually, that's a difficult one. Even if I had prepared the answer for this, I wouldn't have it. So it's just like, right now what we're doing is, hey, we have our infrastructure. It's, fulfilling all the European legislation and standards. So and it's just like interoperable, right? So I think that we will be able to set up those agreements with the different chains just to do, like doing that kind of play. We are chasing a connection, of course, which is kind of straightforward with Latin America, is an amazing Web3 hub, right? So we are talking with LACNet, and we're talking with different chains that would allow us just also to expand. And with Europe, we should do the same. Right now, you have, there's one network, infrastructure for the different countries for them to deploy digital identity projects. But eventually, that doesn't move the needle for companies, right? So I think that the fact that on our infrastructure, there's going to be, there's already private projects deployed, and also we're moving public sector onto the chain. I think that is what's going to make other people that we're currently talking to, currently they might think, oh, you're bluffing, right? So it's just like, you did your investment, you want to sell it and whatever. But once we actually have the value, and which we have it, by the end of this year, our infra will be up and running. Companies will already have business cases on the chain. And then also next year we will be moving the public services into also the chain. I think people will take it seriously and go like, shit, I want to connect with these guys, right? And then is when we're going to see the play on how it rolls. And then we will be looking face to face, and you can hear me on this, and just like with the Singapores of the sort, right, and of the liking, because I think we're doing a very interesting play. And remember this, if you're here, it's because you know it, right? But before the AI hype, Web3 was everything. And then now the previous panel, for instance, was talking about AI agents. Everything will need to be back to blockchain. So it's just like, I think that whenever that hype passes by and it starts fading, it will be still transformational. They will realize, all this needs to be tracked. No, so that is when, while others are talking and distracted about other topics, I think we're doing the right investment at the right time. So when the world reawakes, kind of thing, we would have already the infra for you to deploy the projects, right?
Let's talk about identity, which is one of the cross use cases that is quite obvious that blockchain has a place there in terms of technological alternatives to tackle the amazing opportunity of identity, but it's controversial at the same time. As, for example, in the UK, it's been voted. It's difficult to pass. The citizens, they fear about governments surveilling and playing the big brother. Yeah. In the liberal mind that I have, this is kind of there. But how can we convince people that it's not for surveilling, it's more for, for good, for the good of the society? And, how can we convey the message?
As always, as long as you make people's life easier, they don't care about, the interim, right? And just like, so for me, as I was saying, now I used to have my private hat, but now I'm public administration, which is kind of an interesting role to have. Living it from within and also experiencing it as a citizen, when I want to, as an administration, allocate money for a given subsector of my citizens, for whatever reason. Imagine, we were talking before about like all this school loans that we give or whatever, no? If as a citizen, I have my digital, in this case, Region of Madrid wallet, but well, nevertheless, Spanish wallet, whatever. I could get proactive on the allocation of my funds. And whenever I just design a financing line, it will get straight to your pocket. I mean, to your wallet, actually. So it's just like, that is where the programmable money that we were saying before, you start to think less about the, oh my gosh, they're controlling me, versus, hey, they're making my life easy because I don't need to deal with administration. I don't need to lead with the hurdles. And I just like, it's easy for me. So just take it, right?
Which would be the mirror to look at? It's like Estonia or other small countries that, of course, are the pioneers, but are also smaller and less complex. How can we maybe learn from these digital economies where they provide digital citizenship? Is something to play maybe in Madrid before and then after in the whole Spain?
I believe we are, this is my ego talking, of course, but I think that we are the ones to be looked onto, right? I think like, well, from a European standpoint, Spain through Madrid, but Spain is the leader and the mirror on which other countries and other regions should look at. In terms of who inspires us, I would say more Singapore. Also, I'm heavily biased because I was living there until July last year. So it's just like Singapore, I think, is kind of the place where I'm kind of triggered to copy, so to say. Because it's just like you really feel as a citizen like the benefits of just like deploying governmental services on the chain, right? So within Europe, I think we are the leaders. We are clearly. Asia would be a Singapore to copy their play, and then yeah, that's I think what we should do.
The main hurdle that you encountered is about technology, governance, regulation, or culture. Meaning, how you convince your public employees that they're needed, they're still needed. We need them. How can they add value? How can maybe they see the technology as a way of losing power, where it is the other way around? It's more about enhancing the human.
I think governance is the biggest hurdle right now, because the way we are doing this is not like I placed a tender for someone to build the infrastructure, but I'm like co-owner of the infrastructure. So it's just like also kind of all that governance and the rules, setting up the rules is what's taking most of our time and most of our kind of mental bandwidth, and then the cultural part. But I think that has changed brutally over the past 3 years, right? I think people initially, and I'm not going to go on to the cliche, right? People initially were thinking of Web3 and blockchain as crypto and scams. I mean, that is long gone, and people are already seeing the push towards, that cloud kind of disappeared, and now they're seeing the actual value. The thing, like, I always tend to, this is my personal line of thinking, but projects like Hyperledger, we were saying before, like IBM Hyperledger some years ago, they did a lot of hurt, to the blockchain community in a way. And I think that people are past that, and then they are able to move from the classical pilots that are useless, so to say, to real deployments. And we will be seeing, and it's very easy to see, it's not that we are gurus or visionaries, within the next 2 to 5 years, everyone moving onto the chain.
And the last one, conscious of time, where we would be in a 2 years period?
Well, if I don't deliver the infrastructure by year end, I most likely be fired. So it's just like, I guess that by the end of the year, we will have an infrastructure and we will have the rails. And the biggest hurdle will be for me, what I would love to see in 2 years' time is just like the first financing lines from public sector being delivered onto a citizen of Madrid, in this case, wallet, and also having at least being the backup network for central banks, at least Spanish central bank, for the money flow that we were saying. And this is 2 years' time, and things will go super fast. So stay tuned, because it's crazy how fast this is going. And as you know, come to Madrid, Habibi, in a way.
Let's follow it up. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I will be here for hours, but we don't have the time. ALASTRIA will be with you trying to avoid you get fired. We will deliver. At least we'll try as hard as we can. And please, for the audience, we have a booth over there of ISBE, Infraestructura Servicios Blockchain de España. Please visit us and get the most you can. Thank you, European Blockchain Convention, for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Give a hand.
Gracias, Juan.
Thank you guys. Yeah, very.